All right. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to this Moodle Academy webinar, User Tours, your Moodle tour guide. My name is Richard Lefroy, and I'm part of the Moodle Academy team. And today I'm joined by Aurélie Soulier, Senior Consultant in Digital Education. In our webinar today, we'll be taking a look at user tours in Moodle. User tours, as probably a lot of you already know, provide on-screen guidance to help users navigate the platform. In this webinar, Aurélie will demonstrate how to design effective, customized tours tailored to different audiences and tasks, making Moodle more user-friendly and engaging. So with that, Aurélie, it's over to you.
Okay, thanks everyone. So I'm Aurélie Soulier, as Richard said. I'm a senior consultant in digital learning, and I have now, I think, clocked up 19 years using Moodle. In October, it'll be 19 years I've been registered on the Moodle.org side. In that time, I've seen the software evolve quite a lot. And one of the things I have loved over the years was the addition of user tools. And user tools are often underutilized, I'd say, and today I'm going to present about it, but know that I'm not the top expert in it. So you might have people who know a lot more in the room than me today, and you're welcome to share your experience when we come to questions and case studies a bit later. Why I'm sharing it is because I find them really useful, and I love to share the experience that I've had and how to customize it, and how to hopefully help you make your users' experience a little bit easier. So what we're going to cover today is what user tools are and how they're useful, how to create and customize tools. So I'm not going to do very specific demonstration on how to, but I'm going to guide you to some documentations and tell you what aspects can be customized. Best practice for design, so some tips basically, and for like ongoing maintenance. So once you've designed the tool, keeping it up to date, and then real examples of tools in action. So a few screenshots and me talking around it. But I would like as well at the end to discuss any ideas that you have for applying tools in your own Moodle site. If you have questions during the presentation, please put them in the chat so you don't forget about them. We can review them at the end. If it's something really pressing, Richard will let me know when we can pose a presentation and discuss. It's not a problem, but often the answers may be in the next slide. So we'll keep going and then have a little chat towards the end if that's okay. So what are user tools? As Richard summarized, they are a feature built in Moodle, and they help guiding users with basically pop-up windows, pop-up steps on the screen. These pop-ups could be just set centrally as a kind of message to your users, or they might be pointing to specific aspects in the screen within Moodle. Why are they useful? They can be useful basically as wide as your imagination in terms of supporting your users, whether it's onboarding new users or highlighting updates if things have changed because of an upgrade, or you've got a new feature, and basically supporting key activities or resources that people normally would ask a lot of questions about, and it saves you hopefully sometimes with support requests. If you present the information and explain it within the screen, you may have fewer questions after. It appears directly on the screen, so there's no things about kind of clicking to get the information elsewhere, although you have to click obviously to go to the next step. And I'll get back about onto the kind of best practice in terms of the number of steps. It can be customized to appear by role. So it could be like you've got a student tool, which is different from your staff tool or your admin tools, by language. So you can use language packs for it. Or just display it to specific people using specific language on the screen. And then it can be per page. So you can have a different tool, whether it's on the dashboard, whether it's in your front page, or whether it's a course page or a certain category. So loads of different aspects. And then the reason why you use it really is to enhance the user confidence, to train them in a way, through small steps. And as I said earlier, hopefully to reduce any support requests. And I'll explain a little bit more. So as I mentioned, it can streamline onboarding for students and staff and admins as well. It reduces the help desk queries and emails, hopefully, and then it supports independent navigation and learning. So one of the things psychologically we are not really good at doing as humans is accepting learning and training when it's overly controlled. And having the tool on the screen gives control to the user to how quickly they navigate through things, how quickly they learn, and they can go back a step if they need to. So it gives them that independence of learning without having anybody else kind of over the shoulder looking at what they're doing. It also can help highlight underused or newly added features, as I mentioned before. So anything that's been brought up from an upgrade or a new plugin that you've got, you can actually explain on screen to people and introduce them to things. But you can also link to other resources from the tool, and you can put pictures in them, etc. It enables consistent messaging across courses as well. So if you had individuals who were training someone, it might have different kind of message, but if you want to have the same message to everyone, you can put in there. But also that means that you can put like a statement that you want everybody to acknowledge when they come in the site using that as well. So how to create a user tool, getting into the how to. So you have to be a site administrator to create user tools. Teachers generally can't unless they've been given specific permissions. You go into the site administration, appearance, and user tools. If you do not have site administration on your site and you want to try them, why not create a Moodle Cloud site. I think there's a trial period of 30 days or something like that with Moodle Cloud, and you can have a look at creating user tool for yourself as well. So go and practice after this if you want to. But if you have site administrator, have a play as well with maybe a staging site or test site if you have one. To add a tool, so you go to appearance and user tools, and then once you're in there, add a tool, set up the name, which type of page you want it to display, and which type of filters. There are tooltips on the page to help you understand what is what, but also I'll put a link. I've got a link in one of the next slides. You have the Moodle docs about user tools that explain step by step how to set it up, and really useful as well. Then you add steps. So once you've got your tool, and I'm going to show you that in a minute as well on screenshots. Once you've got your tool set up, you need to make the content, basically what shows on the screen. And these are the steps. So you can do new step, and then whether it's a general message on the screen that appears in the middle, or whether you want an element, so like a block, for example, that's pointed at, or a specific element that is not a block, and in this case it's called CSS selector. So it's part of basically the theme, if you want. And if you don't know how to find out these things, you can the CSS code, you can just do on most keyboards your F12 if you're in things like Chrome, for example, or on your browser developer tools, and then you do select elements, and you put your little arrow onto whatever you want to point out, and you copy and paste that CSS code into the tool, and then it will point in the right place. You can also, what I really liked, I know it's a small thing, but change the button label for the end of the tool. So you could have end the tool, you could have I'm ready. You could have agreed and acknowledged, or whatever you want to. There is a control as well in terms of the order and placement of the steps. And once you've got your tool set up and you want to change things around, you can move the steps around as well. Then you can set the visibility based on roles, as I mentioned, whether it's teacher, staff, or everyone, and devices or languages. So there are different aspects. So when you're in a site administration, appearance, and user tools, you will have those three buttons: create a new tool, import a tool, and tool repository. So to create one from scratch, you just do create a new tool. If you have a tool from someone else, from a different platform, or from Moodle.net, which has a repository as well, you'll be able to import that into I will explain. I will demonstrate. Sorry, I've just seen the chat. You'll be able to import that into there. And then there's this tool repository button, which links to Moodle.net, where you will be able to see in the future screenshots. There are some existing tools as well. So demo time. What does it look like? So I've prepared one. So you can, this is a little bit of a fast scroll down, but this is one quite complex tool with several steps, and it starts at the top and you scroll down, you've got all these steps, and you can see most of them are CSS selector, where it points to different places on there, but I'll show you some much simpler ones as well, and then you can have a look. But that's what it looks like in the page, basically. So this is the simplest possible tool. This is just a data statement. It shows one step displayed in the middle of the page, and I'll show you a screenshot of it a bit later. And this shows on the dashboard, and I know that because where you can see just under it says the mandatory statement on login tool, it applies to and it's /my percentage, that's the dashboard page. And you can use that for anything you want to display on the dashboard, always use that code. And I'm going to show you a tip about that in a minute as well. So this is a data statement, and you would just click on there. But what I wanted to show you on this screen is at any time, you can edit the tool defaults, and that means the settings of the tool. So where, to whom, etc. gets displayed. And then if you are making an update to it, so let's say you change a policy or something, you can then force the tool to be displayed again to all users. So you've got control as an administrator as how often you make updates and how you can push things back to all users. Even if they've already seen the tool before, but you made an update, you can force it back to everyone. For best practice, keep always the step as short as possible and purposeful. Think about you're talking to one single person on the other side of the screen. They just need to be that person's, you need to have the right directions, very clearly, friendly language. Don't do what the quiz example I had upstairs, just a couple of slides before. 5 to 7 steps max is enough usually, but obviously some need more because you're guiding some people some more complex things, and that's okay if you have to break it down. But for most things, try and avoid too many steps if you don't need them. They need to be placed logically and visually close to what they refer to, if possible. And then I would always say before you publish them, so there's a button that says, I think it's user tool active, or enabled, sorry, and you got checkbox. And you before that, check them on different roles and devices. You publish them, just check them in one area, and then make sure they're working okay. And if you have the luxury of having a test site, make them on your test sites and then import them into your live sites to enable them. So these are, taken that from Moodle Docs, and it's a lot of words, but basically it's so much because these are all the things you can customize in a tool. It is very flexible, very customizable. So they may be filtered to display in different places. So whether it's by access date, so whether it's an account creation, so you only display to new users, for example, and users for a certain date, from their first access, or the people who've lost access between a certain date. So you can actually display the tool to very specific users. Similarly, you can use categories since Moodle 5 to display to specific categories, or exclude categories you don't want the tools to be displayed in, which can be useful if you have, I don't know, different faculties, etc., and you want to only show things, or maybe you want to show only the tool to your training area because it's about how to use a new feature in the quiz for teachers. And then you can choose a specific course format. So if you've got a new course format and you want people to be learning about, let's say, grid format, you would be able to just choose that format and only display it when people access a course with that format. And then, as I mentioned, whether you want it to be a teacher or a student or an admin or manager or non-editing teacher, whatever role are in your platform. And also you can match a theme. So if you have changed your theme, you've got a new theme for your platform, then you can actually display only people are within that theme, which is useful. And as I mentioned, this CSS selector, it will only show the tool when the specific selector is found on the page. So if you have a specific item that only shows in certain courses, it will, the tool, if you use that for your filtering, will only show in there. But you can use many or one or none of these filters if you want things to display automatically on everything, or on specific activities, etc. So my biggest advice is when you have your platform, you have already tools built in. So these are the tools, apart from the last two, I think, these are the tools that are already in Moodle Cloud, for example. But you can see most of where it says the column enabled, most of them are disabled by default. I've enabled the first one, the grader report, and I think I have enabled onboarding new students to a course because that's the one I made. Where it says applies to, this is what I was referring to earlier about which page it applies to. So the /my/percentage is your dashboard. Front page is in everywhere, basically. And then /my courses is my courses. And the course view.php and percentage is any course, any possible course. So this is how it's set up, and you may or may not have this in there. When you create your course, you've got a name, you set up a description. So try and be descriptive in case other people, you want to share it and other people can reuse it. And then you can see there's some arrows. So the arrows will mean if you have some that are enabled, and there are multiple ones for the same page, let's say course, it'll be the priority in which they are shown. And then the plus sign next to it shows you a preview, so you can check how it's working. And obviously the pen is to edit them. So that the pen will edit the settings of your tool, whereas to change the content of your tool, you have to click on the name. These are all clickable, basically. I can see things in the chat I'll answer later. So these are examples of a very simple tool that I've put to welcome students to onboarding onto the VLE. So as you can see, there's two different ways of displaying things. You see step 1 out of 5 and 3 out of 5 next to each other. The first one has got kind of a backdrop, and you can enable or disable this backdrop for each individual steps. So you may want to have always the backdrop, so it just shows your message in the right place. Or, as you can see on my second screenshot with this 3 out of 5, always a 2 out of 5, but it's the next is 3 out of 5. You can point out a specific thing. And in this case, I didn't want to have the backdrop because I want people to see what I'm pointing at very clearly just below. And you can always set whether it's on the right, the left, above, below, etc. So it's very customizable as to how you set this up. And obviously, where you can see the text here, that text could be text, pictures, tables, image, links, whatever it's format. You have the same formatting than any other text within Moodle. And then you can see my course navigation drawer pointing to the side. And then at the end, I've actually changed the label rather than just "and to" and this demo, but you can put any text you want in there. So for each, you've got a title, the content, and for the last one, you would have your button naming as well. And as I said, you can add a backdrop or not. So this is a post-Moodle upgrade for dashboard, for example. So you have your new dashboard features, click next, and then you carry on. So this is another example of course. And this is the one I mentioned earlier, that one step I showed you a screenshot of about pointing out the settings. So this has got a backdrop, it's got a link to the full data policy, and I've put accept and continue. It doesn't record it like you would do for a checkbox, but it makes it so that people can see that. And you can also obviously force that back when the policies are being updated as well if needed. So any kind of mandatory tasks, it's quite useful to have that in there. So I thought finish a bit of demonstration. If we have time and you have very specific question, I might be able to show you on Moodle Cloud, although I'm not logged into my to my site at the moment. But if you need help, the best place to go is Moodle Docs. You look for user tools. There's the address here for the Moodle 5, but obviously you can customize it to your own site. You see where there's 5.0 docs, you can choose your version. Sorry, I need to cough. There's loads of details about how to use CSS selectors, examples, and different examples of selectors. Also details about translations, about what to do in which order when you have translations and language packs. So updating the tools, the language pack first before you import, so that it works it doesn't display all the languages in the string. Basically, there are little tips about how to do that, how to share tools as well, especially if you've got something somebody else can use, please do share it. And as I said earlier, there's a repository. So with that button that says repository links to the MoodleNet page, this page where you've got all other tools, and you are very welcome, if not encouraged, to share your tools in there for others to look at and customize. And what I forgot to say is when I had, I'm going to go back a lot. I had a list of tools that already exist. What you can do, there's a fifth button, which is duplicate. You can duplicate that and make your own. So you don't have to start from scratch. So you can just edit the bits you want, or you can actually edit that one as well if you know you're never going to use it. So if you know something that works, but you want to change it to make it your own and point at different things or say different words, easiest thing is duplicate it and edit and then launch it and see what Also, a good thing to do is check, with your users, if you've got any feedback, and improve it. And that's one of the things that are important is the maintenance. So making sure when you have updates and upgrades that everything is actually updated. Otherwise, if you have a step that is on the screen and has not got pointing to anything, depending on how you set up the tool. If you set it up to show anyway, it will show but not point to anything. But if you haven't set it up to show anyway, it will just skip that step if the element is not on the page. So what have I covered? User tools help users learn through actions directly in Moodle. They hopefully reduce your support queries if you demonstrate things that are common questions, and they will help improve confidence of your users as well. They're easy to create, especially if you're recycling another tool. They're flexible and they are powerful when well designed. And to get to a good design, the best way is iteration. Just keep doing and improving to fine tune it. Get people to test it if you can. And then it's great for onboarding, communication, and change management training, as I mentioned. So in questions and answers, we can cover the questions in this chat, but I'd like you to think about what challenges you face with onboarding and if any of this will be able to solve any of part of your challenges. Have you tried tools in your institutions and what works, what doesn't? And have you got any use cases that we've covered today or that you're interested in that we could discuss as well? Do you want to look at questions, Richard?
Yeah, and we have had a few come in here. Thank you very much for that. I'll just scroll back to the top and you've probably seen some of them come through as well. So the first question we had coming from Edward was when you're talking about CSS selectors, which can be a bit tricky, and as he sort of said that. So Edward's asked, do you have a simple guide on finding the CSS selector? I spent a lot of time.
There's a guide in the user tools. Yeah, there's a guide in the user tools. But it will depend. Some of them are easy to find than others, and you may have to play around. So when I designed tools that I use for this demonstration, most of them, it was just a case on my browser. I used Google Chrome to do F12 for the developer tools, then choose select elements and find those are in the index drawer. So click on there and it just highlights the right element, and then in the code you've got a dot blah 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 whatever it is, and you paste that. But there are some typical ones used already in the Moodle docs. Have a look in there. There's a list. There's some, or check the tools that already use them as well, the ready-made tools. But yes, sometimes it's tricky. So I was trying to do one that was picking the right activity in the activity chooser, and that's very difficult because it's picking things in a window that opens differently on different screens. So yes, it can be a little bit difficult, and some of them you have to play a little bit around with that. But anybody who's got tips, please add them in the chat or let us know.
The other thing as well, I'll just jump in quickly. If you're not familiar with CSS and HTML, using that developer, view and trying to dig through and find those selectors can be pretty daunting and overwhelming. So yes, definitely look for some support if you need to, which you may very well do. And yeah, definitely utilize the existing tours, because you may very well find that what you're trying to do has been done already and you can adapt an existing tour. I'm just going to keep scanning through questions and I'll just keep throwing them at you, Aurélie, if that suits you.
Good. I may or may not be able to answer them, but I'll try.
Question from George. Do user tours only apply to logged in users, or can you also create tours for guests?
I think you have a one for non-authenticated role. So you could have it for guests. I think I've never tried, if I'm honest. Mary?
No, I think you're right, yeah. And I think Mary will be able to confirm as well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Mary thinks we can't do it. Okay, because there's a non-authenticated user role which is basically for guests. And that's one of the options when you select it. But I've never tried if it works, if you can show it. You definitely wouldn't be able to see it on the login page. I wouldn't think so. But if people were guests, I don't know. What I'd say is try it and please let us know and share because that'd be interesting.
Question from Deb, and I think you touched on this already. Can you set a tour to run on a specific type of activity? So some of our courses include face-to-face sessions, and I'd like to create a quick tour to show how to book. So I was presumably talking about either a plugin, maybe the appointment or event activity potentially.
Yes, but you should be able to do that. It's about displaying it.
You're perusing that one. Another question from Jane. I think also talking about roles and permissions. Can a teacher easily be given permission to create a tour across a category?
So to do that, your administrators need to change the capability of teachers, or that person be given a different role so they can do it. It's feasible, but it needs editing the role or create a new role that can do that and give that role to that person. It's one of the capabilities.
And Moodle roles.
Can I come back on that?
Yeah.
Yes, Jane.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so could that capability just be added across a category then, and just another additional role be given to a teacher? It just means that, like an admin, being very selfish, so it means I don't have to create every tour. And I think we'd probably use them more if more people could create them.
Yeah, I think you can do role allocation at category level, Mary.
I know it can be done. I'm not very...
Yeah.
I tried to do it with calendar events and couldn't find permission.
It needs to be a context level for the role when you create the role type to be category based, and I think that should be okay because then you can assign a role at category level, so that shouldn't be a problem. But you need to create that role separately and then assign that to...
Yeah, just need to find that one permission to give and then add it to a different role.
Yeah.
Add that role to the teacher. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think the capability I thought was on the Moodle docs. There is just one capability which is allowed to do the default role of manager, which is create, edit, and remove tools. So that's capability, tool, user tools, manage tools. That's what it is. And that's towards the bottom of the user tool Moodle doc page if you want to get that.
So we could create a role called user tour creator, and then just add that capability and then add it across the category. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I am just catching up to our questions. So there was another, where is it? Question that's actually already been answered in the chat, but I will throw it to you anyway. Can you add audio explanations and video clips to the user tour? And the answer is yes. But technically, yes. But as you sort of mentioned before, Aurélie, keep them short and useful. And that goes, I guess, along with everything you've been talking about, them make sure your user tours are actually helpful and useful.
Yeah, and it's good, especially if you want to have text plus audio, but remember, it needs to be accessible. So if people can't hear, they need to be able to read it as well. So I would say make sure there's a transcript for the audio as well. Concise is good.
And Sheila's just followed up on that one as well a bit further down, just mentioning a short welcome video as a first step in a user tour might be a nice idea.
It's nice. That is a nice one. Yeah.
Okay, another question, getting a little bit technical down the bottom, if you've seen that one, Aurélie. Can I make tours dedicated to a variation or a version?
There's a version, yeah. Whatever version your site is, you can actually point to things for that version, if that's the question. Because you only have one version of your Moodle site. So I assume that's what you mean. Christina?
Sorry, can you repeat the version?
So you working with your site version, so you can make it specific to the feature of that version. So that's, yes, you can make it specific to your 4.5. But I think the question is because I've been showing the Moodle docs for 5.0 maybe, but they are available on previous versions, so you can do that.
What about the old version, like 3.8?
Yeah, you'll be able to do tools in them.
Okay, thank you.
You might not have, so it definitely won't be able to assign them for specific categories in those ones, because that's new in 5.0. But you have tools, and you can, and they are per role as well.
Understood.
You just have a little bit fewer features to the roles.
Thanks for the explanation.
Please keep putting your questions in, and we are getting through them. We've got another one here. Is there a recommended length or width for the tours? I've created some tours, but if the text is too long, then the top half of the tour is off the screen. That's something I've seen.
I don't think there's a recommended one, but it's keep it short. I think something like, because it's a box, kind of 6 lines is quite a lot already. So I don't know if there's a character. There isn't a maximum character, and indeed, if there's too much, even if they have to scroll down the box, it's not good. And yet on mobile phones, it's screen space. So I think that at the moment it's check and test it. If I find out, I'll go and edit the Moodle docs and add that recommendation maybe. If somebody finds out, please go and add it onto Moodle docs as well as a recommendation. Only use that amount if you want it to be displayed without, scrolling and issues. Sorry, I haven't got an answer for that. Yes, you can put links to documents into the tools and to websites. If your documents are accessible online, there's no reason why not, or within the course, etc. So you can totally put links. This is what I've done for the policy statement, for example.
Just a quick little point as well. Just be aware that if you are putting links into a tour, you'll be taking people away from the page and the tour if they're following that link. So again, less of a technical, but more of a usability consideration there. Sandra, was closed. Okay, so technical point here. So we're talking about selectors and targeting different areas. So a comment when pointing to the recent accessed items block in the side drawer, if the drawer is closed, then it doesn't display properly and the tour gets stuck. So that's something we'd have to look into. So if anyone's not following that, on sort of standard Moodle sites with your Boost theme, you've got drawers which can collapse in and out. And sorry, I've lost your name here in the chat, but this person's talking about targeting one of those items that are in those drawers and what can potentially happen if the drawer isn't visible when the tour...
Then it looks like it's pointing in a completely different area. That's correct. You could make it so skip it if it doesn't find it. But if it's, closed, it's quite tricky. Again, I don't have a solution for that apart from... the previous steps, making sure it's open. I don't know. Placement of the buttons. Oh, yes. So that's a UX thing for the Moodle team to look at. It's really easy for people to end the tour instead of clicking next. And I think culturally is when you read from right to left as well, or left to right could have an impact, whether they should be on top of each other or the contrast should be different or something like that. But yes, Jane, you're correct. I think that's happened to me before. I ended up a tool before. And although you can restart a tool, it's something I forgot to say. I was meant to say that any user can restart the tool with the question mark item on the bottom right of the page and just restart the tool. but they need to be told we can do that. So maybe the very first tool they ever have needs to say that. And you can force the tool back to users as well. But very often, not very often, a couple of times it's happened to me that rather than clicking next, I undid the tool. And then as a user, because the user like me is maybe a bit lazy, I won't go and restart it. I'll just keep it then, So that's something to think in terms of, development, and maybe something for Moodle HQ to get us feedback and look at the UX of that.
And just on that, there's a couple of other UX and UX suggestions coming in the chat as well, which are interesting and useful. I think Bruce into the question mark. Yeah, I think we've more or less, I'm not sure, Aurélie, if you've seen anything else in the chat.
If anybody's got really interesting use cases, I like the welcome video, for example, and things like that, please let me know, because I'm always open to that. Also, I think I've got a slide for, we've already done questions. Contact me if you want to discuss anything, tool or modeling in general. I'm very happy to chat. I'm not doing this as any kind of company or not trying to sell anything to anyone. Let's just happy to chat on Moodle.org or on LinkedIn if you want. Put full links in there. And I think the slides will be shared anyway. You should be able to find my profile and message me on Moodle Academy as well. And I'll get any notifications from that. So thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Sorry, I can't answer all the questions. As I said, I'm not the best specialist, but it's good because I'll go and look at that and explore a little bit more as well. So thanks for everything and for the feedback as well.
All right. So again, thank you for being with us today. If you have enjoyed the session, we would love you to consider getting involved further and help us grow by contributing to the development of Moodle Academy. You can do this by visiting our Get Involved course, which you'll find on the front page of the Moodle Academy site. You can suggest ideas for new webinars and courses, and you can vote on ideas that have been suggested by others already. As you've just seen today, we're always on the lookout for community members to help present webinars and co-create short online courses with us. And we'd love your help making Moodle Academy more inclusive. So if you're able to, please go to our Translate Moodle Academy course, and you can get started with helping us translate our courses and webinars into other languages. And of course, please help spread the word about Moodle Academy by telling your colleagues about the courses we offer and the webinars we run. Educators and administrators might like to think about getting Moodle qualified with the Moodle Educator qualification or the Moodle Administrator qualification. You can learn more about these from the Moodle qualifications block in the Academy homepage. And with that, that is it. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope this was useful, and we hope we'll see you again in more webinars to come. Thank you to Aurélie, and thank you to all of you. We'll see you next time.